My minions. This is a good Monday. Not humid. Not humid at all. It's decent out. But what are we going to discuss today, minions? Well, what I have for you today is the concept of a fair fight. Fair fight. What is that? What is a fair fight? I mean, in simple terms, it's exactly what it sounds like. You have a fight, it is a fight between two people. And it's fair, even on even, one-on-one. But does a fair fight always apply? The answer is no. Fair fight has its place. Fair fight has its place in sports. Fair fight has its place in a mutually agreed upon fight. I get into a bar fight, or me and someone has a dispute, and we mutually decide, we're just going to slug it out. All right, let's do that. But those are really the only two realms in which a fair fight comes into play. When life or death is involved, when life is involved, no matter how big or how small the concept of life and death is, there's no such thing as a fair fight. Survival isn't fair. When you're fighting for life, you're fighting to win. Whether I'm fighting for my life, someone else's life, it's not a fair fight. We're fighting to win, to preserve that life. So when things escalate, overwhelming force. Let me paint a picture for you. So, military, even law enforcement, security. The general concept of all these things, regardless of how big, is protection. The preservation of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Military are fighting to preserve life on more of a massive scale, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of lives at stake. Law enforcement, whether federal, state, or local, even still, hundreds of thousands of lives, even hundreds of lives, even if it's just one life, is at stake here. Security, same concept. Whether I'm protecting civilians, fellow officers, or I am responsible for the criminal, fugitive, whoever I just apprehended, the suspect or subject. Especially when it comes to your own life and death. You're fighting to win. You're fighting for life. I had a person ask me, because for the most part, a lot of law enforcement or duty carry, their rounds they use are hollow points. And the lady commented, she basically thought it was an overkill. Well, you have to understand this. Think of it this way. If the situation escalates and develops so beyond reasonable control that deadly force is used, it's necessary. Don't get me wrong. Deadly force should never be taken lightly. Deadly force should be the last resort, but don't confuse the fact that a situation can escalate so quickly in a split second that deadly force is needed in that split second. Let's not think that, there are stages before getting to deadly force. No. You could be, again, school shootings. People just come in and start shooting. Yes, deadly force is to neutralize that threat, to stop that massacre, to stop what's happening. Deadly force is needed in that instant to stop that threat. Now, if a situation becomes that dire, that deadly force is needed, then we need, as security, law enforcement, military person, whatever the case is, The person who's intervening needs to be able to stop that threat immediately. And you know what? Why gamble? Use the means necessary to ensure immediate success. So yes, let's use a caliber or a bullet type that is going to give us the best chance of success of neutralizing that threat once we've crossed the threshold of deadly force being used. Deadly force is deadly force. We're at that point now. It's sad that they even got to that point. Understand our goal for law enforcement officers and security officers, agents, investigators, with military personnel, whatever, is we want to de-escalate first. Understand that, but that's not always possible. And right now I'm speaking to a lot of you who maybe were considering law enforcement, or maybe in the academy right now, or considering armed security, or the military, private military. Take these things into consideration. You're fighting for your life. You're fighting for someone else's life, which means you're fighting to win at all costs. That's the dynamic. This isn't a sport. This isn't playtime. For civilians out there, or people who aren't in these professions, aren't in these industries, and you're just trying to get a better understanding of why we do what we do, I hope this brings you some clarity. You know, the goal isn't death. The goal isn't to necessarily kill the threat. It's also to neutralize the threat. Someone comes in with a bomb strapped to them, I'm going to want to put them down immediately. I can use regular bullshit range rounds that may or may not do the job, or I can use particular hollow points with a particular grain bullet that is going to give me the highest chance of success of neutralizing that threat, so that threat can't hit the detonator and blow up half the damn city. We've crossed that threshold to deadly force. Once the weapon is drawn and the decision is made to use deadly force is being used. So let's increase the chance of success of neutralizing that threat so no one gets hurt and we can save as many lives as possible. It's not the fact that we're bloodthirsty and we're kill hungry and we're all killmongers and things of that nature. That's not the point of it. It's giving us the highest chance of success against people who choose to do harm to others, whether it's protecting my life, protecting someone else's life, and particularly it's protecting someone else's life. I'm responding to somebody else threatening somebody else for the most part. There are people who just, attack law enforcement, security, military personnel. Those are the targets. But for the most part, we're here to protect others. We're putting ourselves in harm's way to protect others. That's the goal. So, understand that. Survival isn't fair. There's no such thing as a fair fight when it comes to fighting for life. You're trained to win. You're accomplishing a mission, you're trained to win. This is why law enforcement officers are allowed to, basically the general rule, we're allowed to go one level above what the threat is. This is why we work in pairs. 2 people versus 1 person more likely will get the job done successfully and peacefully. We may not need to tase the person, we may not need to use batons or OC spray or anything like that. But now it's the strength of 2 people versus the strength of 1. We can get that person, probably maybe pin that person down, they settle down, we can let them up and we can figure out what the hell's going on. Or cuff without breaking bones or causing bruises or anything like that. Or maybe this is the presence of 2 officers as opposed to 1 is enough to de-escalate the situation. Or the presence of pulling out a baton is enough to de-escalate the situation. I'll tell you what, So I am not necessarily a small person, but I was on a job, one of my many jobs, one of the many hats that I wear, just the other day, and a guy came up to me and wanted to shake my hand. No big deal. I'm friendly. The whole thing is, I present we like to call a hard target, but I'm not an asshole necessarily either. But I am to be taken seriously while I'm working. I like to present that professional image, that professional demeanor. I'm a professional when I'm working. But this guy who came up to me was had about a good 5-6 inches on me, probably about twice my size, And so I'm constantly 360-degree awareness, constantly doing a threat assessment, Shook my hand, had a firm grip, and then almost kind of dragged me away with him. I'm like, yeah, let go. I had to stop. I'm like, let me go. But at that point, spidey senses all went off. Hair in the back of my neck, right, Had to do a quick threat assessment. What am I going to do to get out of this situation? Mind you, I'm armed, and that's one of the many worries that we also have as security, law enforcement, military personnel. If something happens to us, all of our weapons can be used either on us or against the public, whoever's around. That's also a concern. It's also something we need to take into consideration. There's also the concept of de-escalation. Clearly, I could tell clearly he was having a bad day, but there are certain factors that go into play. You need to put your ego in your damn pocket. This guy's twice as big as I am, taller than I am. I don't know what he knows combatively, But at this point, it's my life I'm worried about. It's everybody in the area's life I'm worried about. I am not going to go necessarily hands-on to prove something, to prove my ego that it's a fair. No, that was not that type of situation. Luckily, at the escalator, I was able to talk to the guy. He's having a bad day, no big deal. He was friendly. I was, being friendly. If I had decided to be forgive my language, if I decided to be a dick in that moment when he just went to shake my hand, who knows how that could have turned out. He went into the store, came out, was upset about something, even more. He came out, dapped me up again. At this point, I don't know, I think he respected the firm handshake. Dapped me up again, greeted me. I even asked him about his. I asked him, are you okay? You having a bad day? And that seemed to, he looked like he was already in the red, and that seemed to just asking him and talking to him about his day seemed to bring him down. Obviously not into the white. It didn't set his meter to 0, but it brought him down out of the red. Just me asking him about his day, his demeanor changed. He carried on with his day, but maybe he had something malicious in his head that he was going to go do. I don't know. By the way, getting off track here. That is not a situation we're going to go into. I got to make sure this is a fair fight. What people want to think. That's not the job. That was not that type of environment. I was there to do a job. A protective job. So, you got to think about that. Put your ego in your pocket when you're working. You cannot have an ego when lives are at stake. No, it's not going to turn out well. And general public and civilians and citizens, please understand that. Where we're at when we're making these decisions. Like I said, we can go one step higher. Someone decides to pull out a knife, I'm drawing my firearm. I'm drawing my firearm and we're going to get to it. Obviously, I'm going to try to talk him down. But if he doesn't, then I'm going to put him down. If he crosses that threshold where now somebody else's life is in danger, my life's in danger, someone's life's in danger, well now, gotta do. We're generally trying to go, we can go one step above, and doesn't mean we can't critically think. Like I said, maybe call in 2 or 3 more officers or agents. You know, that will neutralize the situation without it escalating. It'll de-escalate and no one gets hurt. You know, doesn't mean that you need to go straight for your weapon or a weapon or any of the tools that you have. You can think about it. You know, how do you want to win? But you may need to use what's considered overwhelming force. You know, take that term loosely. You know. But that's just one I wanted to talk to you about, get at you about. It's a concept that a lot of people have a hard time with, especially working these professions, and people get hurt because of it. Do not bring your ego to work. Keep your ego in check if you're working these professions, and for those of you who don't work it and can't relate, understand what's happening. Protecting lives, saving lives. I know all you see on TV is cops shooting everybody, security officers shooting everybody or tasing everybody or whatever the case may be. They never show all the cases that was de-escalated. They happen all the time. I de-escalate situations a lot. We're trained to do so, but we're also trained to respond accordingly if the situation escalates. So, but again, thank you for your time. I appreciate you being here as always. All the subscribers, all the viewers, all of you, I appreciate every single one of you. Yeah, bugs. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you very much for being here. Please like, subscribe, and feel free to comment if you've got a different point of view on this. Let me know. You know, we can debate it back and forth respectfully. I respect you, you respect me. You know, respectfully. But we can go into it. It's not that big of a deal. I want to hear your opinions. You may have a different viewpoint that might click to me. Hey, I never thought of it that way. I'm open-minded. Change my mind. But again, thank you for being here. I greatly appreciate it. My clicker is busted right now, so I'm doing everything by hand. Again, like and subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Have a good one.